What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Conmunity podcast. I am your host, the dude Frank Wack, here today with my first ever guest, Mr. S.C. King.
Hello, hello.
This is the second time I've interviewed you, actually. We interviewed you in my other podcast that I did with Corey.
Yes, I recall. It was me and Aaron Morton.
Yes, we were talking about Don't Bring Me Down. How's that going, by the way?
Don't Bring Me Down production was pushed back to 2019. We, shipped the script around. We were going to do it ourselves at that point in time, but we knew we did not have the production level we wanted to do the film we wanted to make correctly. And we kept saying, we want to do it once, do it right. I don't want to kind of make an okay film. And so we're making smaller films and musicals and smaller productions in the meantime, just kind of build up our experience. And top of 2019, we're going to go for it. And we're really excited about it. It was rough to have to push it back, that far. But at the same time, I want this to be, when I look at it, I want to be like, this is exactly what I had in mind, as opposed to, well, this is pretty good. This is okay.
Yeah, man. I can respect that. I'm sorry to cut you off there.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, just like do it once, do it right. That's my biggest thing right now.
Yeah, I've always kind of had the same kind of mentality when it came to video games. And not me specifically, but I always remember when everybody gets mad when the game gets pushed back. I'm like, the game's going to be better. They pushed it back to make it better. Shut up. Just wait.
You waited, 12 years for Kingdom Hearts 3. You can wait.
I was actually about to make that analogy myself. So it's like Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be the best game ever made, right? Same goes with like Half-Life 3 and
Half-Life 3 when we're 55 and Half-Life 3 comes out, it's going to be amazing.
I didn't even get to the welcoming question. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm getting over a cold myself. A lot of medicine because I have somewhere very important to be in a few days, and I can't be sick at all for it. So
that's right. You're going to Hollywood.
Yes, I was lucky enough to get an invite to the LA premiere of the Black Panther, and it's a big deal for me. A lot of people put a lot of time and resources and love and money into helping me get there. It's not very, very much so. So I want to be able to vlog all of that, and I'm glad I got sick now. I'm glad I got sick a week before.
Right.
Because that would have been really bad to be hawking and and sneezing at the movies and not being able to enjoy this part of history.
Yeah, we'll be talking more about that in a minute. I want to talk about some con stories.
Con stories.
Specifically, I want to hear about your adventures in Tokyo and Tulsa last year.
Last year in Tokyo and Tulsa,
because you were everywhere.
Yeah, and it's going to be more so. I was just talking to James Fowler earlier today about things that are happening for Tokyo and Tulsa.
And James is the con chair, right?
Yes. And some big things were coming, and he was letting us know what will be required of myself and Susie Spector, the other MC.
I'm guessing that's all under like NDA, and you can't tell me anything, huh?
Yes, I can't give you an that completely.
Darn.
But no.
Maybe off the record. No.
It will be. It will be. It's well worth coming out to see. And you'll see a lot of it pretty soon.
Cool.
Last year, I was trying to run a booth and do the MC thing. I was also Polka Dot Steve. This year, I'll probably have my booth there, but I will most likely not be the Polka Dot at the convention. I'll probably be mostly MCing. And the girls will run my booth by themselves because it's too much.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah, the one time I think I had a booth one time at a convention. It was at Super VidCon a few years ago, and I was hardly ever there because I was too busy taking pictures and doing interviews, and my family was there running the booth for me.
Yeah, it was fun, but it was a nightmare. I wouldn't want to do it again where I'm trying to do two things and run all over creation.
Yeah, because you wear so many hats. You have like 2 comics you're working on Facebook. You have music that you do with Wonderheim, and I'm still hoping for that K-Sides reunion. And you do
That's funny. I think about that all the time. Facebook popped up a K-Sides video a couple days ago, which I reshared.
You let me know if the reunion tour is happening, because I'll roadie for you.
That'll also happen whenever we're 55. So the same year that Half-Life 3 comes out, that'll probably be the K-Sides reunion. We're really excited. You heard it here first.
Speaking of K-Sides, I actually wanted to talk about a few other con stories that I remember specifically about you. I've known about you. I'm going to say it this way. I've known about you for over a decade now, I think.
I guess I've existed for about that long, but yeah, it's been several years since we've actually been friends. I can't remember the exact year. All time melts together, so it's someone will be like, "Yeah, I met you 15 years ago." I was like, "Holy smokes, it's been most of my life." Man.
I can actually tell you that I don't know what year it was that we became friends, but once I get this out, I think you can probably put the pieces together for me. We became friends after the Tokyo and Tulsa, where K-Sides opened for Freeze Pop.
Oh man, and that was
that was a long time ago.
That was. It's got to be 5.
No, it was
maybe
longer
6
than that.
years now. Yeah, 6, 7, 6. I guess it might have been.
What, 2011, 2012, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's been at least a good 6, maybe 7 years. Yeah, since that happened. Holy smokes! Yeah,
I still remember that concert.
As do I. It was
one of Tokyo and Tulsa's best performances, I think.
We opened for Freeze Pop that year. It was pretty amazing, and the energy was insane. And...
Yeah, you guys popped the roof off of it better than Freeze Pop did, in my opinion. But I'm gushing. I'm sorry.
I don't know. We were gushing too with the response. We had no idea that. So we started playing DuckTales, and then the doors opened, and everyone came rushing in. It was.
That's the way. Yeah, you guys opened with DuckTales and then ended with the Fooly Cooly ending theme.
That was probably my favorite performance on stage. There were some really small ones that I enjoyed, but just that particular, with how we all get to dress up and how everybody was, and how the audience was, and the energy and the just everything about that. I think that's definitely my favorite K-Sides performance.
That's cool. I just remember, like, after that, we were all like so hyped and full of energy after that. And Freeze Pop came on, and I was like, I just want to hear the 2 songs from Guitar Hero, and then I want to leave. That was it. It was just like we just moved on from there.
I'm sure these artists hate that everybody wants to hear the 2 songs.
Oh yeah. Dragon Force gets it worse than anybody.
I believe.
Play through the fire and flames. Ugh.
Oh, life is hard.
I remember reading something along the lines of the guy that wrote the song Cherry Pie by Warren, like, hates that he wrote that song because it's their only hit. And he's like obligated to play it at every concert.
There's a lot of that going. I remember, what did I see? I think it's Bowling for Soup at the fair maybe like a decade ago. And everybody kept screaming to hear 1985. And they played that song last, by the way, but they were like, guys, we're going to play it later. You got to wait. And I could tell they were so miffed that nobody cared about it. It seemed at that concert that nobody cared about any of that. They just wanted to hear 1985. But I can relate to not wanting to be like, a one-hit wonder, kind of a thing. But sometimes you gotta play the oldies.
Yeah, right. Oh, I actually wanted to talk about one more con story before we segue. It's going to definitely segue into our next point of conversation. It was even longer than the Tokyo and Tulsa. It was like my 3rd con I ever went to. I think it was like MiniCon 8. It was like a 1-day.
It was wow.
Yeah, it was a 1-day event. And this is why I say I'd known about you, because I remember I was talking in a group of people and you were in there, and I heard somebody in the group was giving you crap for cosplaying as a male white character.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I think there's a video of this online, actually.
Is there? I don't know why the word male came out, but it did.
No, so. I'm pretty sure I recorded. Someone was like, "Why don't you cosplay as a?" I might have been dressed at that point in time. If it's what I think it was,
yeah.
I think Tyler was there, dressed as Ichigo, and I believe I was dressed. We didn't know his name back then. It was when they announced Final Fantasy Versus 13, which became Final Fantasy 15.
Okay, yeah.
and the character had no name. I just dressed up as a grainy picture that I saw. It became Noctis.
I see. What we know is Noctis now. So
yes,
okay,
yeah, and they were like, "Why do you dress as I just want to think of one."
Because I remember your response to that question, and that's what's really weird about all of this. Because I had no idea who you were at the time, but I just remember you're like, "What? Am I going to be Barrett from Final Fantasy VII?" Like, and then you were like, "How many other black characters are there?" And that was that. And I remembered thinking, and I couldn't name one other than Barrett from Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, "Holy crap! There's no black representation here anywhere. What the hell?"
It's incredibly minimal. You know, and every now and again, you'll have some kind of flashy. Dead or Alive has one. You know, Tekken has one. These really Dennis Rodman type looking characters. Sometimes when I look at that, and I'm like, is this what Japanese people, think of? There's characters like Bobobo,
right?
It's a whole bunch of other weird, or like Killa and Dragon Ball Z and a bunch of, and then sometimes it goes off into, older anime, you get some weird like racist territory with the way that they look and everything. Yeah. But, just as someone who loves anime, and video games, it was always difficult to try to find somebody, who looked like me that I wanted to dress as. So I just dressed as who I wanted to dress as. Again, it wasn't. I love Barrett, but I don't want to cosplay as Barrett. I don't have that physique to pull that off. So I did Cloud. And I had a black wig, and then some people were like, "Oh, you're Zach." I was like, "No, I'm Cloud." "Oh, you're Black Cloud." I was like, "Yeah, I'm just Cloud." Like, what is it? Oh my god, it was. Yeah.
So to segue this, the first question I want to talk is I definitely wanted to make sure that we talked about cultural division and the community as two separate things in one point. How much of a problem do you really think there is at such a divide in prominent black roles in fandom? Like, how much of a problem do you think that really is?
It's a big problem that's been getting a lot better, and but it's still a huge issue. Right now I've been hashtagging the Black Renaissance, because between last year and this year, there's so much. Even with, like, I would always talk about how we are seldomly in sci-fi or fantasy, and if we are, we're definitely not the lead characters. And then recently, everyone's like, "Well, what about Captain Sisko?" I'm like, I'm not saying that we've never existed in science fiction or fantasy or before. I'm not saying that it's never happened. Everyone's always like, "Well, what about Blade?" I'm like, yeah, we know. I can count every black character, in fandom on my hands, because we have to hold tight to those roles.
Right.
But it doesn't change the fact that it's an extreme minority, especially when you get to be the lead. And as far as when you go to a convention and you see the characters people want to dress up as, it's not. They even made fun of this recently in Stranger Things, that they expected the black kid to be Winston because he was black. And Winston is generally not anyone's favorite Ghostbuster. He was not even on the posters and in Ghostbusters 1 and 2, which is so disrespectful. Yeah, or on the DVD covers. His
he wasn't.
Ernie Hudson. He wasn't as big a star, and he was definitely the representative of the people to be in there, and he's not a bad character. But
would you go so far to say he was like the token character?
He was very much a token character. He's like the only black person in that movie.
Okay.
And I'm writing a little piece right now called "This One Goes Out for All the Tokens," because I grew up the token black guy in a lot of my friends' lives.
Yeah.
Generally, especially growing up in the '90s, you're used to seeing a token character. It's not just. Black people have it better than any other minority, because even though it's bad for us, it's nowhere close to as bad as it is for Latinos who create a very, very large percentage of like the box office, but are the least represented. One of the smallest represented communities of people. And then you get on to Asians and the Middle Eastern community and Native Americans. Oh my God! But right now I'm living in a time where there's actually so much representation in the past couple of years. I don't have to just watch something because it has a black character. I can oh wow. There's so much right now that I have not seen the new Star Trek, and that stars a black girl. The new Cloverfield, whether you liked or didn't like it, it was led by a black woman, and that's sci-fi. A lot of the, obviously the Black Panther, Luke Cage came out and it was amazing, and Black Lightning is on TV right now. Not to mention the other shows that aren't fantasy or or sci-fi, and it's getting to a point where like we have options now. Like you don't have to just dress like, as someone because they are your race or ethnicity, but to be able to have heroes that look like you it's very important. I was aware as a child that most of my favorite heroes didn't look like me. That and there's a lot of people in the Latino community right now who are going through a similar thing. I called it out. Like name 2 Mexican heroes, and nobody can do it.
Yeah,
Last
Speedy Gonzalez.
Oh God,
I'm not trying to be that's not like a racist statement. I'm throwing out a joke.
And I love Speedy, but he's very much like a stereotype.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm not trying to come off like a big racist or anything. That was definitely a joke for everybody else.
No, but exactly, and that's kind of how it is. Like, oh yeah, it's. But last year we got 2. Granted, they were both like criminals, but there was the Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and there was El Diablo and Suicide Squad.
Yeah, dude, he stole the show in that movie.
He did. He was my favorite character, and I hope that sparks a lot more. The same way that we hope that Black Panther completely changes the way people view. This does have a black character, but he's a criminal, or he's a gangster, or he's here to fight. He's here to fight the hood, or it's something that has to do with slavery or like oppression. It's just nice whenever they get to kind of just be something crazy, like wielding a huge sword and throwing fireballs into the sky, and and that kind of stuff. It's fun to be able to get out of your everyday life and just play like a ridiculous. Like we want to be space pirates too. We want to be vampire hunters and all this good stuff. Obviously, yes, yeah. Blade is a thing, but to never just stop at. Because whenever we bring up Black Panther, someone always goes, "Did you forget about Blade?" It's like, no, we didn't forget about Blade. I love you keep bringing up Blade.
It's like, yeah, we got one. Yeah, what about Blade?
Exactly, because there are so few. Yeah, I definitely want that for. Granted, when it comes to anime, generally, the characters are, Asian, Japanese. So the Asian community, has the, they have the
like almost the monopoly on it, right?
Yeah, and that's fantastic. But to be able to, when it comes to just nerd shows like all your sci-fi shows and all that stuff, when you go to a convention, it's not just anime anymore. Even at Tokyo and Tulsa, there's people coming as Star Trek characters, people coming as Star Wars. The convention has pretty much become just a place to go to love your fandom. So regardless of what kind of convention it is, the fandom community has just kind of taken it over. And look, let's just go have fun, dress up. Gone are the days of the brown face for West Side Story. Now we can get actual Puerto Ricans to play Puerto Rican. Progress is slow. I'm not angry. I'm motivated. And I want to, even in the show that I create, Polka Dot Steve, when I got my 3 girls together, I was very aware that all 3 of them were of different ethnicities, and that I wanted to have female characters who were able to stand alongside me and not just serve one purpose. Because not only the disenfranchised aren't just people of different, minorities, they are also women, women, people of color, people of the LGBTQ community. Everybody wants to see themselves reflected because you feel beautiful. You feel beautiful when you see a character who is not just this template we've gotten used to over the past 100 years of film. That just to believe that everybody can be awesome, everybody can be powerful, everybody can be funny, everybody can be evil, everybody can be a superhero, all those things. It matters. Sorry, I totally went off on a tangent, but
no, man, it's awesome. I'm digging all of this. You kind of actually already answered the 3rd question, so it's all good. I kind of expected something like this.
It's something close to my heart, and everything that I create. I'm working on the comics right now, and everything that I create, partially because I know that I've been ignorant a lot, in my life to the plights of others. It's like when I realized I'm making a comic called Aisha, because I'm like, well, I don't see a lot of black women in these fantasy stories, and so I wanted to make one about that. When I realized a lot of the different ways that I had not really cherished some of the females in my life, and when you think you're on the side of women, then you get confronted with ways that you've taken advantage, or ways that you have not been there for them. when you learn something, you don't sit around making excuses. You get better. And one of my abilities is to create this entertainment. And if I'm not using my entertainment to stand up for the people that are not heard as loud as I am, then I'm not using it correctly. And so that's why I started writing The Thirst, which is a horror story about this creature that comes to deal with men who abuse women. And it's just about, I mean, like, you have a voice here. You have a voice with this podcast, and you're using it, to ask me about these questions, that matter. And it's it's just what we should be doing as human beings, which is really standing up for one another and standing together. So, I mean, I really dig it, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, man. No problem. As we said, we've been friends for a while, and I've actually wanted to do an interview like this with you for at least a year now. And it's kind of why I fell in love with the convention community, the Conmunity, if you will, is that I had never felt so instantly accepted. And it was crazy. Walking into my first convention, 11 years ago now. Jesus, I'm old. Yeah, walking in as, 14-year-old boy dressed up as a side character from Bleach with a 8th grade graduation gown on as his cosplay.
No, I definitely feel you on that. It's one of the most, like, yeah, there can be drama and stuff like that, but it's definitely one of the most welcoming communities out there. And I think it's been a lifesaver for a lot of people, actually, dealing with a lot of different things, to be able to have this place, these people, and to meet people who understand and accept you for who you are. There's a lot of places and people that don't. So I mean, yeah, like, I love it. I mean, be weird, be weird, be strange, stand out. Don't be afraid to be yourself. And I fully support, any community that's willing to encourage people to and embrace that.
Yeah, and just half the reason I started this podcast is I realized I had made the channel 3 years ago now with the intent of bringing more people to conventions, to reach out to more people and be like, hey, you should try out these cons there in your area. And then I realized 3 years into this that I'm not talking to the con goers. What is wrong with me? I interview all these guests and, the staff at cons, and I promote them up, sure, but it's the community that matters the most here. This is the people that are going to be welcoming the new people that are coming to the cons that I'm trying to reach. And so, yeah.
Very true, very true, very true.
I think now is a good time to segue into our third and final topic.
Yes.
So, you have been, I want to say, campaigning for Black Panther since like the movie was announced. It's been all over your Facebook since day one.
Yes.
And so,
it means the world to me. I probably had a Black Panther post per day for the past several months.
At least one, yeah, at least. Yeah, at least
like, I've done like 4 today, but yeah, I'm my hype for Black Panther. People would think that I've got Disney money because I'm so hyped. No, that's just me being like, this is really here. It's really going to be here in 8 days. Sooner, I get to see it, in I think 5. But yeah, I'm seeing it 3 times in the span of a week. I'm seeing it in LA, then I'll be seeing it with my other friends. We're all dressing up on the 15th. I'm seeing it with my whole family. My mom's going to be dressed up, on the 17th. It's going to be crazy.
Awesome. So to start this segment, I wanted to have a fun little segment. I wanted to call a 1-minute explanation. I'm going to give you 1 minute to explain Black Panther as much as you can to me.
Okay, all right.
Are you ready?
I am ready. Oh,
all right.
Yes.
And go.
The Black Panther is a character created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. He is the first African character to have his own ongoing series at Marvel. He is the leader. The Black Panther, T'Challa, is the leader of his own country, Wakanda, which is a hidden country in Africa. They have the world's most valuable element, vibranium. and it's all about culture and family. He's the most awesome superhero. Check out the death battle today on YouTube. They had Batman versus Black Panther, and you can probably guess how that went. And most of all, he is currently a beacon for the Black community, you know, all over the world, but especially in America, because we've never had a movie on this scale with this kind of budget that has a majority Black cast that's breaking every single record conceivable for movies. As I know I've gone over my minute, but yeah, that's yes. Yeah, that's what's up with the Black Panther. I don't know if I explained everything, but it's
all good.
It's gonna be out in a week, and everyone on the planet needs to go see it. I mean, it's sold out for the first weekend. It's already sold out, but once tickets are available again, you should definitely go see it.
So I wrote this question down, and it's really funny that you mentioned Blade earlier, because it was the closest thing I could think of that was close. Yeah. What do you think it is that makes Black Panther such a bigger deal than something like Blade was?
Blade, and Blade is dope. You know, I like the first two. I'm not a big fan of the Trinity.
I liked Trinity.
No, a lot of my friends do.
Triple H was in it.
Yeah, he was. So was Ryan Reynolds. That movie was so goofy.
Vampire Pomeranian, right?
Oh god, yeah. I saw it in theaters. You know, and it's something. It's fun. And, you know, there's characters like Spawn, played by Michael Jai White, you know, that was also a Black superhero back in the day. The difference is Blade was – it's not really a superhero. He's a vampire hunter. I want to specify those are two different things, because generally those are, you know, rated R films, which it is. It's not for the whole family. You don't see a lot of parents having their kids dress up as Blade for Halloween.
That's fair.
It's it's nowhere near as big, like where the Blade exists. But this is like the thing about Marvel Studios films is they're generally for the whole family. Even if they're PG-13, they have some kind of adult jokes.
Yeah, there
are people that everybody wants to be. Not to mention that this is a majority Black cast with a budget about 3 times that what Blade has had, and that's the biggest budget they've ever given to a movie with this many Black people. And it also has Black writers, a Black director, Black costume designers. They really Marvel had the stones to go against what the grain of what Hollywood does. There have been so many directors over the years who've said, yeah, we can't. You know, Ridley Scott recently made excuses for why his movie about Egyptians was full of white people and had only Black people as like slaves, gods of Egypt, which did not do very well. I think it was even banned in Egypt because they're like, this does not represent us. But he was like, yeah, I can't mount a $150 million film, you know, with Black people because, you know, it's the marketing thing. Just the worst kind of excuses. And if it is good, you know, if you are taking the time, people will go see it, which is being proven because, you know, half the actors in this movie don't have names that are necessarily as big as some of the names, sort of like like Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise and that kind of a thing.
Right.
And it's just because when he popped up in Civil War, everybody went crazy. Because like this is a Black super. This guy is a king, so people get to go and see themselves as kings, as people with pride, living out in the sun. Where Blade was like a night, you know, I guess he was like a day walker, but he's kind of lived underground. Also, Blade was mostly Blade and a bunch of like white people, and like I think there was like his mother who's dead, and there was a Black girl in the first movie who did something. That says everything you need to know. I can barely remember what her purpose in the movie was. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll have one, maybe 2 or 3. And whenever the first Avengers came out, I was like, yay! Because I love Marvel, but I'm like, that is a really white team. And Samuel L. Jackson off to the side. And
Samuel L. Jackson off to the side.
Yes.
It's horrible, but it's really funny the way you put it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's how it was for a long time. Like every one of these movies will have, oh, Doctor Strange has Chiwetel Ejiofor is the black character. The Iron Man movies have Rhodey as the black character. You know, Captain America had his one black Howling Commando. You know, it's everything. You know,
Falcon.
but yeah, by the time we get to Winter Soldier, yeah, we have Falcon, which was also amazing to see him up there and taking his own. And when he got to Civil War, I was like, man, it was crazy because like there's 3 black guys in this movie. Like, that was built up over like a decade to get to that point. But I was like, it was crazy to see a superhero movie that had 3 black characters who all have their own motivations, didn't have to be friends or act a certain way. It was crazy. And now we have Black Panther coming out, where I've never seen, like none of us have ever seen. People bring up stuff like Meteor Man, which is an older kind of black urban comedy about a black superhero, which is nowhere near the same thing at all. And it's a funny movie. It's a fun movie, but this is changing the world. This is changing cinema. This is changing lives. So many celebrities are like buying out theaters to get the youth in there to see this movie, because nothing like Black Panther has ever existed on this scale, so big, with this kind of marketing. I'm still in awe just every day. Just, you know, I went to Walmart and I saw some of the Black Panther toys and I was like, this is real. This is
I saw your video, yeah.
yeah. So I mean, we've never seen anything like this, and I want this feeling to be something that, you know, the little Latino kids can feel someday, and you know, the Asians community who keep hoping that we'll get an anime adaptation that stars Asians here in the States. You know, to be able to feel that, you know, because like name a Japanese superhero. I mean, aside from Big Hero 6, which it was great that we had a movie that had 3 Asian leads, Japanese and Chinese. That was fantastic, but it's
overshadowed by Frozen.
It is. And I want, but then, you know, Coco came out and it was fantastic, a great music movie about Mexican culture, and I want them to be able to have that, what we're feeling right now. All the other minorities out there, I want them to be able to feel that same thing someday. To feel valued and to feel like you're more than whatever stereotype Hollywood has come up with to represent you. That is a feeling of feelings. My niece is freaking out. Like she wants to go to the movie as Black Panther. So I'm thinking about getting her a costume together for that.
Nice.
But so yeah, that's why it's different. Like Blade is cool, and like we love Blade. We've always loved, you know, Blade. You know, he's got some great one-liners. He's Wesley Snipes. He's super cool. But Blade is a character, where Black Panther is about, it's so many characters. You know, I've already heard that it's not just about Black Panther. It is the country of Wakanda, and every single character on that poster, you know, they're saying has an arc of their own. It's so much bigger than just the Black Panther himself. And so it's like Man of Steel. You know, Jor-El is like, our hopes and dreams are going with you, and yeah, like the hopes and dreams of, you know, entire community of people are, you know, writing on this movie, and nobody got dressed up in theaters to go to Blade. They didn't have,
That's very true.
They didn't have a purple carpet for Blade. Everyone didn't get dressed to the nines like it was church, which is what's going to be happening for Black Panther. Like, I already got my suit ready, and I'm making sure everybody who comes with me is ready, because we're having photo shoots. Like, this is, you know, I could go on forever, but so yeah, it's like, no, we didn't forget about Blade, but Black Panther ain't that.
I got you, man. That's awesome. It's just to hear like the excitement in your sick voice. It's really cool to.
I appreciate that. Oh yeah, no, my voice is totally going out. I need to drink some more tea.
Right. Well, I'm not going to hold you any longer. Thank you for sitting on with me for like 45 minutes now. Jesus.
Oh, no problem at all, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
What? Oh yeah, he must go ahead and talk to his girlfriend next door.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, man. Anytime. I'm happy to be here, and let me know when it's up. I'll totally share it, and many good journeys.
Before I let you go, do you wanna plug a Facebook or Instagram or anything?
Oh, you can totally find the many things that I'm doing on just SC King. It's funny because that's my name, but also the name of my page. Or movie cost money reviews with SC King. I have so many pages. There's Pokedoc Steve. We're doing new content on that. Instagram is SC underscore the King. And I'm always posting different art pieces that I'm working on. There's so many right now. But yeah, if you want to find me, it won't be too difficult to see me floating around online.
Right. We'll have links to all of that in the description down below. So
appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you again for being on the show, man.
Anytime. Take it easy.
It was awesome.
It was splendiferous, scrumptious.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.
All right, catch you in the future. All right, peace.